video I'm going to show a comparison between the original equipment swing arm plate and an aftermarket one for my Raptor here. The original equipment one here, see it's made of plastic. Actually does a pretty decent job of protecting the bottom of the swing arm as well as the disc brake and the sprocket. But that said, it is just made of plastic and can get beat up pretty well. It's removed with just 4 bolts, one there and there and there, and they look like that. So those are 10 millimeter hex heads there. So you get that off, move that out of the way, and I purchased a different one from this company here, Ricochet. I got that one on Rocky Mountain ATV, and the aftermarket one is quite a bit more robust. Here it is, made of aluminum. See, it's got the built-in chain guide there, and it'll mount up just like that using different hardware because it doesn't require the collars on the inside of the bolts, so it just uses bolts, washers, and locking washers. I would recommend using thread sealer on these, even though they do have locking washers, because you don't want this thing falling off. Now, pros and cons. So that's a decent skid plate. It'll work pretty well. But that said, you're coming up on rocks or anything like that, then have something a little more robust will be helpful. This is really made really quite well. You can see it's got this part down here to protect your linkage in the lower part of the shock. So that's helpful as well. It's a nice piece. What are the downsides? This one is $170, so it's a little bit on the pricier end. But it's built really well. Other downside is it's quite a bit heavier. I weighed that one, it's about 750 grams. This one is about 2,500 grams. So you're looking at roughly 3 times heavier. So a little expensive, a little heavier, but it is a really nice piece and it'll work out well. So there's that. All right, so there it is installed. I ended up torquing these to just about 10 foot-pounds. I wouldn't go a whole lot beyond that, though. You don't want to break them off. The only other thing the manufacturer comments on is that if your disc brake or sprocket clearance is not adequate, which should be at least about a 1/4 inch, you may decide to rotate your bearing housing 180 degrees in there. That will actually raise it up a little bit because as you rotate it back and forth to adjust the slack in your chain, it actually moves up and down slightly. You can run into too tight a clearance here, or even potentially self-clearancing, which would be your worst case scenario where you're kind of grinding on things. So just be mindful of that.